Hearing that crackle and the distant drone of that familiar music that's barely music. It's an oddly pleasant but strange and disorienting feeling. With so long between updates, coming back to this game feels almost like realizing I'm having a recurring dream I haven't had in a while. Hello everyone! And welcome back once again to Dreamcore. For those who are just joining us, or even if you might find some comfort in a refresher after so long away, Dreamcore is a rare liminal space experience that really seems to get what makes these spaces so fascinating, in that there's no entities to chase us, there's no time limit or anything to make this frantic whatsoever. It really is like having a dream that is comforting and at the same time disorienting, the kind of thing that leaves you waking up wondering where you are and why it feels so profound. I mean, I always liken it to, like, looking at old photographs, places you know you've been, but you don't have the memories, no context, yet it speaks to you directly, and, well, speaking to us directly is exactly what this one seems to be doing, because, well, Liminal Hotel is a particular image I've always had a connection with, especially when it goes directly by that name. I mean, exploring GM Liminal Hotel was kinda how this channel got its start. So, let's check out Liminal Hotel. Explore the environment only by curiosity. Patience and observation are key. That's new. We're actually starting on the elevator. Every other map so far has begun with us falling from somewhere high or down a slide. This is the first time we've actually started in a way that could imply we're continuing from an earlier level. Because these elevators are the closest things we've got to an objective, 188. We never know how we got here, but we always know how we're leaving. Well, if this is a hotel, maybe at the very least we can finally rest. Look at that, a stairwell leading down and into the dark. This is the kind of architecture I love. It seems so simple. It's not overtly crazy or anything, but you just never see it. A staircase leading up and to a single elevator at the end of a hall. So much needless space. And at a glance, you know it's wrong, but, like, there's no one thing in particular that's out of whack. The light at the corner there is blinding, especially with the VHS effect. However, the room itself is fairly normal. Hello, beds! This is probably the most comfortable thing we've seen in, like, any of these maps so far. And despite being a little bit on the bare side, a little bit of extra space, that's the only thing that actually looks like a hotel room. And if we are the same character as the earlier maps, then I would have a very hard time leaving this behind, wouldn't you? I mean, we can sit down right at the edge of the bed, feel that soreness come rushing to us, and just never leave. Because here we can pretend it's normal, that we're not in the middle of this. Of course, there is that one door at the back of the room that's kind of odd. I see. Oh, yes, I should have figured that the concept of a hallway was something that was going to be ill-defined around here. I can't help but draw the comparison to, like, when a child is asked to draw architecture. Because that's what dream environments are often like. I don't know if there's anything we can read into that, but that's what it feels like. Because kids don't know why things fit together the way they do. They don't have those same preconceptions that we develop, even subconsciously, just experiencing buildings our whole lives. What if we try going out through here? It just never ends, and where there's a thin space, the hallway will surely weave through. And sometimes there's a long distance with no doors. That sign says exit. How much do we believe it? It's like there's a window somewhere in there being projected outward. Whoa. See into some of those rooms, and the movement of just like the VHS jitters is really freaking me out, because I'm very alert for the smallest thing. There's a power box down there, and I imagine it wants me to mess with it. I always loved the big moment at the beginning of every one of these maps. These games are actually very silent, except for the hiss of the camera itself. Welcome to Liminal Hotel. Do you feel like you're inside or outside? Both and neither. I love these moments at the start of each of these maps. The taste you get of exploring before it shows you something that absolutely awes and terrifies you, and normally the only thing you can hear is the hiss of the camera, your footsteps, and maybe the zoom. Except for this one moment that it just plays that rumble. No power. You're showing us the way out right away. We've got to go on a whole journey to get to what you're showing us straight from the beginning. Why does it make me so nervous, the shadows being cast on the wall there? It gives the feeling that something is waiting. But this is a game that is so sparing with its soundtrack that when it uses it, it fully lands as a jaw-dropping moment. Now, what is that down there? It's hard to say. Hey, I recognize this carpet. Well, we can have a room here. One of these days, I'm gonna have to stay in this hotel. Look at that. You're just piled up in the corner down there. Like someone meticulously gathered all the ones that would be hidden throughout the map. Just look at these angles, the way it uses those shadows to create a sense of depth. There's also an entrance over there. Look at the two sides to this, because when you're looking down that way, it has like the sort of eerie splendor that this place is known for in real life. And by the way, just knowing that this is a real place is insane to me. But back here, the ground is more bare, the shadows are allowed to fall. It feels so much more like a back alley, a different kind of outdoor location. Well, let's take the advice in the beginning, which has actually changed in its wording slightly. It's all about observation, which means there probably won't be sound cues this time around. But I am curious to know how it handles something that I pretty heavily criticized in the last part, the playrooms. Because I always loved the wandering. And a big problem with the last one was that it was actually very specific in having to hit certain points throughout the map, and it made it really frustrating. Because you really were just wandering aimlessly until you encountered these generators. Feels like people used to gather here, and will in the future, but not right now. That's the thing, it's deserted, but it doesn't feel abandoned. And oddly enough, the hotel rooms, I mean, they're sort of weird in shape and furnishing, but they do pretty closely resemble normal rooms. And it gives them a sense of comfort, like there's some place we can rest in amid all the craziness. It's also very interesting seeing these fairly normal depictions of real spaces in these paintings and photographs. I mean, everything that you'd expect to be here is here. Most rooms connect to a bathroom. They've all got beds, drawers, TVs. I'm very curious to know if they would actually turned on, or if you could, what they would display. And let's discuss the way these shadows fall, because a comparison I've been drawn to more and more when discussing liminal spaces is the similarity to a photo. I think that's part of why found footage is so closely tied to liminality at this point. It's because anytime you take any given angle, it looks like a photograph. A photograph of someplace you know you've been, but you can't remember. Kind of like I said earlier. We're overlooking again. And I can't help but watch all these windows for any sign of life. The question when it comes to liminal spaces, though, is even if you do encounter a sign of life, would you want to engage with them? If you saw them look up at you, would that bring you joy, or would it terrify you? Was that me? I feel like I just heard like a hard footstep, or like something rattling. Huh. This one looks like it may actually work. We can call the elevator. Alright, well, I still have a sense of direction about this floor. There's another one right here. We're currently on floor 6. It goes down to 5 and 4. Or only goes up, I don't know. I guess it's just one button. Maybe we don't get a choice. Of all the things we've seen so far, this room not having a door is what disturbs me the most. It's entirely a transitional room. That is so weird. Of course, liminal is practically, by definition, transitional. But I've learned not to too deeply commentate on every little area the way I would a Gary's Mod map. It's very important to keep moving. Because what's cool about Dreamcore is that these spaces truly are vast. They're not just a collection of cool rooms that the creator wants to show you. They are actually huge and make you feel like you're lost. Two places aren't going to be the same, but they will be similar. Okay, at this point, I think there's very little reason to hang about in the middle rooms. It feels so unnatural when the spaces widen up like this. Because these are the kind of things you would expect to see like downstairs, you know, ballrooms and conference halls. And yet it's right up here, like it's just cutting into space. Like there were rooms here and they've been removed. It's like when you play a tycoon game and haven't filled the space yet. But down here will probably just lead us back to those elevators, right? One hopes, because if it doesn't, then I've completely lost my sense of direction. There we go. Might as well try hitting a button. I guess not. What about you? Well, it does say going down. Okay, so the other one only goes up. This one only goes down. Of course, it wouldn't trust us with multiple buttons. How creepy is that? You can actually hear the bing bing echo throughout the place. I get the achievement, no stairs, take the elevator to another floor. I'm going to be reading these out because the way I have OBS set up, I don't think you can hear it. Why does this hallway feel so oddly comforting? Hey, we found somebody's pad! But as we go on, these are starting to less and less resemble real hotel rooms. It's actually more like a series of loosely connected IKEA show spaces. Oh well, might as well. What is sort of creeping me out is the narrow hallway between rooms in a block. It's strange how arbitrarily it seems certain things cause fear or comfort or any number of other emotions. Like, you really have to sit there and think about why it elicits that reaction, what associations cause it. Like darkness with light peeking through at different intervals. Maybe it's because that kind of gives a sense of the space rather than feeling like you can't determine it. Whereas in those claustrophobic little hallways, not only are they unnecessary, but they sort of like, they make it feel like you're ducking between aisles, like there's more places for something to hide. I also like that it does actually allow light to come through a doorway as you're opening it. That's a nice touch. Anytime I settle down to play this game, you know, I gotta make sure I got a big mug of water ready. Because I know it's gonna be a little while. Imagine if you could prepare, like, the bowl of popcorn and all that for a really good dream that you know is coming. But here, we had that same hallway between rooms, but it made a right-angle turn at the end. Here we are. Okay, this center will actually be our... Wait. Oh, this is really screwing with my sense of space right now, because I could have sworn we would be, like, over there somewhere. I have no idea how we somehow wrapped around to here. I have not followed the path I thought I was following whatsoever. I mean, I suppose we're down a floor now. That's something. I haven't even found any stairs. I suppose we could cheese these things by just walking the halls, but on level 2 we couldn't do it by following the streets. And you never know where something might be hidden. These games emphasize the limitless stretch of the place, but that doesn't mean there aren't Easter eggs to be found. These rooms come in different colors, but they've all got that same pattern on the wall. It almost looks like peeling paint at first, until you get closer and realize it's deliberate. It's got a very modern style, I guess. Can we back through a door? We cannot. And it's a good thing, because that would totally be the moment for there to be something to see. And not to alarm anyone, but while there aren't really jump scares or monsters in this, there have been hints of something else. The space hasn't been entirely devoid of movement. Okay, at a certain point, we've got to find something else. I don't even know if I've done myself any favors by coming out here. For all I know, I should just be going down another floor, but then maybe not? Of course, what am I thinking? Of course we have to be going through these rooms, because sometimes, even though it seems... That's actually really interesting. It seems on a surface level like, okay, the rooms may be weird, and the halls, but at least they function as halls and rooms. Well, here, sometimes the rooms are the only way to get to halls. There's actually segments that are split off. And the odd angles of the hotel itself. What the heck? We've just completely done a 180 from one side of the place to the other. It doesn't feel like I walked that far. What is going on? I mean, maybe I just got lost in commentary. The strange angles of the hotel definitely lend themselves to corrupting your sense of space when you're trying to move around it. But it's nevertheless disorienting. It's weird. It is simultaneously your anchor and the thing that serves most to screw with your sense of direction. It's like a strobe light. You only get an update periodically, and every time you can see it, it doesn't look like what you expected. If I hug this wall, though, it doesn't seem like it's teleporting me. It does not. I think down there is where I really want to come from. What's also cool about the nature of the exploration in this is that it doesn't want you to see everything. The space as a whole, the feeling lost, this is what makes it. One of the bravest things this game does is that it's not afraid to be somewhat repetitive. It introduces enough variation that we can still come across little things that seem cool, a hallway with interesting lighting, or maybe a piece of furniture or architectural feature that we haven't seen before. But it all melds together, and a lot of things are afraid to do that. They want it to just be like a showcase of weird architecture, one after the other. But that doesn't get to why the back rooms are scary or intriguing. It's about wandering. It's about wondering whether you've been here before. Just look at the original Backrooms image and what drew people to that. I mean, this is probably what you think of when you think of the real Liminal Hotel. Okay, it's just the smudginess of the VHS effect, but I really thought like a shadow was stepping out right there. It sets you on edge. Nothing's happening, but it sets you on edge, like a dream where you know you've had it before, and you know that something always happens, but you can't remember what. Ooh, look, we're back to the bridge. We can actually hear that rumble anytime we step over here. Look, it's got light strips along the railings. I can feel that dense texture of the carpet under my feet. You guys stay there. I should probably be counting you every time I walk by. I should also be having... Look at these windows! Oh my god, hello! Okay, I knew you'd do something like that. You guys are the closest thing we have to jump scares in this game besides my own nerves. But it's all very tongue-in-cheek. It's almost like, wow, that got you? You almost get angry at yourself for falling for it. Well, except for the first one. There was the first encounter with you guys in the first level, and that was a legitimate jump scare, no matter how goofy it was. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, but it's what I was saying, and it was actually illustrated pretty well by the darker hallways. Look at the original Liminal Hotel image. I mean, you know, a different angle on this, where we just were. It's not just how strange the space is, you know, what looks like a courtyard but with a ceiling over it. It's also the lack of context. You are trying to imagine, to fill in the blanks, what could possibly exist around it, what this building would be like. And what you come up with, against all logic, is probably something like this. It's like when your brain doesn't know, it reverts back to that child mode. It starts just drawing architecture, what it thinks should be there, with no frame of reference. I've got to know if these TVs work. And is this place truly eternal? Well, this isn't the kind of game like the Cane Pixels things where we actually have to think of it scientifically. It doesn't want that. But if we were, I'd want to know if this place had tube TVs at some point, and if not, can I have one? Our only goal right now is to get lower and lower down. And I'm kicking myself for the fact that I could have done that before. No, you're just gonna loop us around? See, now this is actually a really interesting design for the map, because every time we get to the courtyard, we can see our objective, and we can sort of orient ourselves in our direction of travel based on that. It won't get us any closer to the end, but it might, you know, just tell us at least where we might look for an elevator, where we've already been. The fun thing about the way these maps are designed is that you can wander for hours, having no idea if you're any closer to your objective. Honestly, it'll start to feel like it's going to go on forever, and then just one day, all at once, you turn a corner and there it is. And it's over as quickly as it began. Now, my issues with the last part kind of stemmed from the fact that that wasn't really the case there. The design didn't lend itself to that. There were very specific points you had to hit, and you had to hit them all. And they changed every time, so you couldn't even look up a guide. In other words, it made you very objective-focused if you wanted to finish it. Where in the other maps, you really just have to wander and have faith that sooner or later you'll happen upon it. And that really worked well for the earlier maps, and it seems like this one is doing something new altogether. We can orient ourselves, but we have to still explore. Here we go, here's another elevator. That's the one that only goes up. Wait, I think this is where we started. We've actually managed to completely loop around Liminal Hotel. Well, looky there. Well, I've had my fill of this floor. Or have I? I worry that I may be progressing too quickly. I mean, this one let me go down 2 floors. And each one is a different style of hotel. This one's got like marble or granite floors, large potted plants. Much more minimal, much more high-end. And as a result, oddly less comforting. The darkness of the walls, the antiqueness of the furniture, antiquity? Makes it feel almost like a funeral home. See, in this case, we measure our progress by how low down we can go. It tells us right from the beginning what we're looking for, and the thing is, we're going to have to get ourselves all the way back there at the end. Is there going to be some other provision, or will we have to do this all in reverse? There seems to be a lot more hallway than room on this floor. But there's our crossing over point. Crossing it also seems to act as a useful save point, and it's only now I realize the elevator doesn't get off. The elevator doesn't get off at the lower floors. It's only on that one, and I guess just moving in the wall elsewhere. Maybe up there it only goes up into the ceiling. You can see vents. That spotlight is the only light. Well, except for that one in the back. These shadows. These shadows do so much of the work of creating the atmosphere of this game. I am normally not a huge fan of the faux VHS look, especially since it usually just looks like garbage, but here, it's blurry, which is realistic. It's actually more like what actual VHS looks like, and it serves to enhance the dreamlike nature of it. It makes it feel like you're looking at home movies, and it creates that association with a memory. It makes you feel like you're nostalgic for this stuff in some way, even though you haven't seen it before. I'm just glad we're not looking for keys. Or we are, and I've been missing them this entire time, and I'm going to be really annoyed later. But with these hallways being much less friendly feeling, they're also a bit more difficult to navigate. Oh, but here we can go down to floor 3. And up to floor 4, so presumably we could have found this somewhere. That means then that there are multiple points where we can do this. In a lot of ways, this map seems almost like a response to the criticism of the last one. Okay, just let me recover for a second. That one was moving, is the thing. You've shifted that way! Okay, well played. Achievement. Friend is back? Yes, now it's a balloon. I was just about to make a joke about how you jumped to balloon form. Your evolution is evolving. Now where'd you get off to, friend? I love these tongue-in-cheek ways it messes with you. It's not a big jump scare, it's just a way to poke fun at you and call your attention back to the fact that you are so locked in. We've got much more of like a 70s retro style here, 60s or 70s. And I find it much more comfy than where we just came from. That sort of minimalist modern. I mean, call me crazy, I actually love wallpaper. I know everybody hates it. I know it became the big thing because it was cheap after World War II. Wallpaper, wainscoting, and dark hallways. That's what I love in my house. Oh, look at this. It seems we go down far enough and we finally make our way to the lobby. Or at least something like it. A lounge just adjacent to it. But that's how these things are. Dangling something in plain sight and it always being just out of reach. Where have I seen this before? This feels so familiar. It didn't at first, but the more I look at it, it's hitting me like a truck. I feel like I've been, like, here. But then again, I guess that's the point. Wait, can we read that text? It's a solar system chart showing each planet's distance from the sun, I guess. Or wait, hang on, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very, There is a door down there from the look of it. The thing about this game is that it's pretty often that it shows you where you're going to be going in the future, but often you can forget about it until it comes back when you least expect it. The darkness over there is really creeping me out, but oddly I'm drawn to go try and see it. But what was I getting at before? Right before I was so rudely interrupted by Balloon Buddy. Yeah, in a lot of ways this map feels like a response to the criticism of the previous one, where there's no specific objectives for us to hunt down. And it showed us where we're going early, and it continues to do so frequently. Whether or not it's an overcorrection, I have yet to decide, but I am certainly enjoying this. I don't know, after all this time, it feels sort of like a respite, which is fitting for a hotel. It feels strange being so low to the ground now. I'm almost sad. I feel like I'm rushing through this thing. These rooms are super cozy. You know, that is actually a reason to continue on from the top floor. I would miss out on all this. Why be cozy up there when you can be cozier down here? I like that the lighting isn't random either. Or, I mean, of course it seems random, but there will be a whole area that's just mostly dark. I keep thinking I hear things, like little things, like creaking. You feel like you're moving in a grid, and it makes it feel like it would be easy to maintain a sense of direction. And then you look out the window and realize that it's nothing like where you thought you were. Designing this map must have been a barrel of monkeys. Have I walked down here already? Like, across the bridge? I don't even remember. I have to resist the temptation to just jump down, but this is the 3rd floor. Or wait, can we get a view into the dark of that tunnel? Not quite. Oh, it is pitch black in here. Here we go. Sometimes the move is just to walk backwards and hope you reach something. Someplace you can see from. I don't think we're going to be getting another flashlight like in the basement of the pool rooms. That's what I love about this game. It's not weighed down by a bunch of pointless gimmicks. It knows that the spaces and the exploration of them is enough. And this will take us down to floor 2. However, I am still curious. Okay. We're just looping back on ourselves. I feel like I'm getting... This is the only game where I feel like I'm getting exceedingly lucky in being able to progress as quickly as possible. But I also feel like I'm squandering my time here. Like, it's only been, like, what, half an hour? Not even? Or maybe I'm just losing myself in it. Actually, as a challenge to myself, I'm not even gonna look at the recording. I'm not gonna see how long it's been. Maybe I should, though. Look at that. We're being directed. Not like there's anywhere else for me to go. Maybe we should prepare our escape. Just make sure it's here for us when we get here. Oh no, there is no door. That's the lobby area. I love how complete this map feels. Like, I'm so used in video games to different areas being segmented by a loading screen. But here, like, we can see everywhere from everywhere. Look at this, we can even go up and down from here. But wait, that doesn't make any sense. This elevator didn't go there before. This goes down to level 1, but you know what? No, you're not just giving this to me. I'm having a look around. I wonder if it's gonna punish me for that. This whole floor is way more linear. Here we are. Maybe I spoke too soon. Then again, maybe not. Maybe not at all. I know this game, that music is diegetic. It's just coming from nowhere, or rather, it's a light. There's probably speakers somewhere. I have seen speakers. I'm a little bit worried about copyright on this, because if it is the caretaker, that stuff will get copyright claimed. That seems to usually be the move when stuff like this is going. But hopefully I'll be able to show this to you uncut. Most of all if I talk over it. I mean, this game has given me issues in the past. Certainly with the song it uses for the credits. But even still, there's a reason why songs like this are so often associated with liminal spaces, you know? Hotels are known for their, like, old ballrooms that have had all kinds of events throughout the past, famous people and, you know, just famous events. But also, it reminds us of old folks, people who are nostalgic, not just the nostalgia itself. Well, we've made it. Floor 1. And oddly enough, I feel seen. I feel like I'm walking in on something I was never meant to be a part of. It's the most calming music possible, and yet I feel like I'm running away from it. I can't help but have my attention drawn to the fact that this music was not playing when I came through here, which means that it activated in my presence. I wonder, how often do people come through here? Is this place... Does it feel a certain way to be observed? The song seems to have ended. This place was silent for eons, got to play its song and express itself for a moment, and just as abruptly it fells back to silence as if it had never happened. Look at that. Like some ancient civilization painted on pottery. Here we are, ground level. And looking into the shadows doesn't grant me any sort of additional insight. I was gonna say you saw that, right? That movement looked like something moved in front of the light. Not just like it was flickering. And now a light turns on in that area underneath. Are we meant to understand that that's a motion light? And that something may have activated the one over there as well? Like, just as I arrive, someone is leaving? Hey guys. I had to come boop you know I did. Especially since I couldn't catch up with Bubble Buddy. And there's our ride right there. Goes up to floor 2. And from down here we get a sense of the scale. I mean, it looked like we were so high up. And now we get the sense that this whole place is towering over us. Something about this perspective I feel so incredibly tiny. It's not like it's that tall, but I mean, look at this thing. Or, well, actually, it's 5 stories up and then some. Yeah, 6 really. So when you think about it, it's actually higher than it looks. This whole thing has a sort of toy box effect to it. And as always, when I walk through here, part of what's so unnerving about Liminal Hotel is that you just feel eyes on you from all around, and you look all over trying to find where they are, and you just can't find anyone in particular looking. But especially in the dark rooms with the curtains open, you feel like there must be someone. I'm really afraid for what's going to happen when I activate this. Now there's power. Power up elevator. I think that sound is the echo of the elevator up there, but now we've got to make our way back. Interesting structure to this level. Anytime I see a shadow, I've gotta clarify what it is. Now, that's another cool thing that the zoom and camera function does for this style. If we think we see something in the distance, it's almost like we have to squint. But that rumble has gone away. I feel like this place is holding its breath now. Like I just broke the unspoken rule and now it's waiting for some punishment to come down. Back to here. Here comes that song again. Well, look, we're here. I think this is the first time in one of these that I've reached the objective before I was done exploring. Look at these huge curtains. I am such... thinking I see movement, yeah. No, it is just the aliasing or whatever, but like it looks like all those curtains are like swaying in tandem. In doing this, like I feel like I'm a little kid visiting my grandma's memories or something. Which is a strange sentence, but I really can't think of any better way to describe this. And when it comes to these things that speak to you in this way, I think part of the problem adults have such a problem expressing themselves and why they find kids so weird is that kids have no problem saying exactly what it is they're thinking, which is why they can be so insightful. They don't have any of those mental blocks that you would stop yourself from saying, thinking, man, nobody else is gonna know what I mean. Eventually, if you do that enough, even you don't know what you mean anymore. Going all the way. Okay, yeah, maybe I should have just gone with the elevators in the middle. That actually scared me a bit because it looked like some glowing figure outstretching its arms toward me. But I can hear the beeping. I'm just waiting to see what this is gonna pull. I'm also very curious how this is going to work. How is it possible for this to be here? I may end up taking the elevator straight back down because I want to see how those other ones connect to the third floor. If anything, this place just has me curious. But another thing I love this game for is that so far it, at least as far as I can tell, has not resorted to non-Euclidean geometry. It all works, it's just strange. Wait, no, you know what? I think I got Europeaned. I think I got confused. I think I thought this was... Okay, I mean, it doesn't apply when it's 2-in-1, but I still got used to thinking from so many games that just, okay, well, it's actually a lie and it's one number offset. Okay, we'll go back and check where the other one leads on floor 3. Straight to here. Let's go up. I am very curious to know where this leads. I mean, it could, of course, just be to some place that I never managed to get around to. It's not like I was super thorough. Now we just gotta make our way back. I can actually hear the beep of that elevator all throughout this place. Which means that audio cues are back on the menu. We can use that to guide us toward the bridge. Of course, maintaining a sense of direction also helps with that. Yeah, no, we really are just doing the same thing in reverse. Oh, and I had forgotten. It's dark on this side. Very interesting of this map to be so clear about what we're doing. I mean... Hello, never mind. Look at this. There's the obligatory shout out to Argentina. I believe the devs are Argentinian, and so we've been able to find things like this throughout the game. Especially in part 2, where it almost sort of implied that there was like some sort of government monitoring going on or something. Oddly enough, these doors seem to lead back in. Look at that. It's the executive suite. It's right off of regular rooms, and this actually spans, look at this, this actually spans 3 floors. There's totally interesting features in these rooms. Now this is a nice one. Come on, this is the closest it's going to get to normal. Look, they even have Unreal Dev textured blankets and sheets. If that were a real product, I would totally buy it. Look at this. This one is like a room as a hallway. And there's something weird about having that room as a hallway against a window. Like, we look at this and we instinctively think, okay, one window is one room. And I believe in real life that's how it is. But the idea that any one of these could be like a 3-story, 3-wide, like, block, or, you know, just 3 vertically could be one room. You just never know with this. Unless you can get an angle to see inside and the curtains aren't drawn, there's nothing to betray what's actually looking down at you. I wonder if this place has fascinations, because I have noticed that there's a tendency of all the artwork, even the pillows, to depict a location. Sometimes it's construction, like human design. Sometimes it's a natural design, but still something that looks, you know, crafted. Like you could stop and appreciate it. It doesn't blend into the landscape. Okay, we've been here. We've just looped back around. But I don't know. It makes me wonder if, like, this place aspires to be something. Which is a really weird thought to have, but that's part of the thing with liminal space, is it's something that doesn't make sense, and you can't help but have your brain try to make sense of it, especially when it's constructed entirely of familiar components. You know, every time I come into a liminal space game, especially when it's depicting architecture that I've seen before, my worry is always, dude, what am I going to say that I haven't already said 1,000,000 times over 4 years? And with Dreamcore in particular, I always seem to find it by the end. I start off making cuts because I feel like I haven't articulated myself well enough, or I just end up shorting my brain out because I feel like there's nothing to say, and then at a certain point everything just sort of clicks and I know exactly what angle to go for. I think that was part of my problem with the last part. That did not hold up for 5 hours. Oh, look at this place. At first I thought I was walking towards the bridge. We've just made it right back around to here. I truly have no idea where I'm going. But I do know this place. Okay, it's actually so much harder in reverse, which is an interesting thing design-wise. I feel like each map has its own, like, thing. Even though it's all technically just wandering, the type of wandering that will get you to the end is very different. Where in the first couple, it's all about listening for those audio cues. I don't remember the second one all that well off the top of my head, but then there was trying to find the keys and the generators. And here, it's much more about, okay, you made your way through all that? It was easy, right? I think because all you have to do is work your way down. You have to move very generally. And back here, you have to move more specifically. No matter what I do, I always end up back at these elevators. I mean, that beeping, it may be able to lead us back to the bridges. But until we're on floor 6, that doesn't lead us back to the elevator necessarily. The ones we're looking for don't make a sound. I know it's just the areas loading in, but I still can't help but feel like somebody's switching on the lights and ducking out the second I arrive. Oh my... I just... I can't ever end up on that side of things, only ever on this side. Something that I am definitely curious about is, would this game be as fun for me if I weren't playing it for an audience? Because in a lot of ways, I actually think commentating to myself makes it better. It helps keep me sane. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's something one could apply to life as well. I mean, maybe that's part of the purpose of an inner monologue. But seriously, I find myself doing this even in games that I'm not recording for the channel. Like, I won't actively comment out loud to myself, but I will do it in my head. And not only does that kind of help me be a bit more articulate when it comes time to actually do videos, but I think in some ways it causes me to play better, which is weird, because I always play games, like, worse when I'm commenting. Mainly because I'm trying to keep up with thoughts, like, while doing things quickly. But when I narrate to myself, especially in, like, strategy games and stuff, it sort of helps me work through the process a bit more. No, oh my god, I cannot get off of this floor. The worst part is when you start to recognize individual hallways. I am just going around in circles, and I'm not finding any elevator that can take me to where I need to go. Oh, here we are. Other elevators are right beside this thing, so it really was just a matter of figuring out how to get to this side of things. Oh man, that took forever. But that means we're getting closer. I almost can't believe how much harder this is in reverse. But you know what it is a lot of the time with, like, maze-like maps? And especially these games, it's that there'll be, like, a very specific way that you get back to where you need to be, and then a million loops that just don't touch it. And so, even if you spend a long time running around, you'll tend to be going down the same hallways over and over. Like, your brain wants to go a certain way, and you'll just never touch that, like, one entrance out of 10 that actually leads you to where you need to be. You just assume that everything leads to everything, and that's not really true. But hey, at least we get the chance to look for stuff on the way back. And I will issue an addendum to what I said before. I may not particularly care for the design of the hallways, but the rooms, they're cozy. Okay, if we just continue down this way, we should be all right. Although I am wary of touching a door in the dark corner. One thing that I also think is interesting about this is that you do have to trust that the lighting will be enough where you need it to be enough. We don't have a flashlight, and we don't have any ambient light whatsoever. Which means the darkness is truly dark. And when we're in a dark place, we only have the noise of the camera, really. I know that the bridge is back there. Never mind, apparently this time I lucked straight into the elevators. Well, knowing that that's there, I can come back and look around a little more, because I just feel like I'm breezing through this too much. Experiences with floor 3 notwithstanding. And no matter how many times I look, I still feel like there's going to be the time when I spot somebody. Those people who were standing in the window in the original images have no idea of their legacy, most likely. I mean, just think, all they did was stand there while a photo was being taken. They may not have even known it was being taken. And now they're part of history. People read So many sinister intentions. Hello! You're moving around actively. You guys are officially characters in this story. I half expected you to be gone when I made the transition between doorways. If we run over and try to catch you, I mean, you would be a little bit down. Oh, we can't see you from this angle. And you appear to be gone anyway. Alright, well, we can get back to where we were if we can find the bridge. I'm having a lot of fun with this one. Like, I'm deliberately not going towards where I know I need to go, specifically because I'd like to see more. Which is weird, because on the one hand, this is probably the most samey of the maps by far. I think we may have actually gone past the bridge. Yes, we have. But our buddy is gone. It's an exit from a certain point of view. Just need to make it up a few more stories. I also love the idea of Easter eggs that are like only viewable from a certain angle. Alright, you, I believe we called you earlier. Back up to floor 5, we're almost there. Well, I say almost there. There is still one more map to be published after this one sometime in the future. You know, this game really has followed me through the year, hasn't it? It released with 2. There have been... Actually, there's only been one more release since then, right? Back in, like, June? And the next one, I wouldn't expect it before 2026. There's been a roadmap, and I haven't checked how well they've kept on that track. But it's been about what I remember it being. Anyway, give it up for floor 5. Feels like so long ago since we've been here, but at this rate, this is going to be the shortest map. Or, not really. I actually don't remember how long it took to get through the first 2. I always forget that I played those as one video. Maybe it's just the impression that it's made, but I feel like this game has been a part of my life for longer than it has been. But this is only the 3rd video, and... well, I guess it has been around for a year. I can just feel myself moving further and further away from the sound. It's funny that our first cue was visual, and it switches to auditory towards the end. And yet we're following the same path, just the other way around. I don't know, I'm just looking for stuff to talk about now. Although now that I think about it, you could totally do one of these videos, like, in the style of, like, an American Truck Simulator vid. Like, I could absolutely just, like, have a list of topics and talk about them sporadically throughout, with this essentially just as background. Have we been to this place before? I've definitely been here before. What's cool about the design of this map is that you are always so tantalizingly close and so far. And there were shades of that in every previous one, really. But I think this one takes the cake on that front. And this map is layered vertically like a cake. I may just be trying to find meaning where there isn't any in that. That wasn't exactly deep analysis. Unless you can think of a way where it could be. And then I claim credit. Alright, there's an elevator somewhere. We've just got to find it. What's funny also is that the audio cue is not what's leading us right now, really. If anything, it's just a distraction because instinctively we want to head towards the sound. But because it's all vertical, the thing we're looking for is the thing not making any sound. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be farther away from the sound, it's just that it has no bearing on what we're doing. I am also going through the middle a lot more often deliberately, just in case there's any difference in architecture. Look at that, it just cuts straight through diagonally. That is such a weird feature, and I love it. And I keep swearing, I thought I saw somebody go running across that bridge down there. It's so long since we've been blessed by these paint-chipped walls. Somebody who's chosen this very style is very offended by my commentary on it. More diagonal. More elevator, here we are. Right in the back corner, the furthest point from where we started, from the courtyard. Alright, come on down. Imagine this elevator just keeps going. It just doesn't let us out. I kind of feel like that's what happened with the other one. I mean, the camera was on the floor. Like we had just been crumpled into the corner for the longest time. Actually, I might have said something similar in one of the previous ones. Like, what if the doors just don't open? It just doesn't stop moving. These releases always catch me when I least expect them, and I'm glad that this one was, like, mercifully simple. More or less, I'm just glad it wasn't, like, a repeat of the last one where it was, like, really frustrating in its design, even if the actual visuals were really cool. And it's only now I realize it's only really the 6th floor that has those bathrooms. Let's get over here. Because I've actually just realized, see, from a distance, those look like stairs. I've realized the only stairs we've actually encountered on this entire map, I think, are those that were in front of the elevator. But I'm just determined to keep going. These little rooms that have their doors wide open, a bed sitting in the dark. I don't know, it always reminds me of a little kid that's gone to bed without eating for some reason. Like the occupant is awake but not happy. I've been noticing that a lot more in, like, abstract games lately. That all they are is a series of visuals and shorthands that may mean something to you, but it's on you to bring your own baggage, essentially. I was thinking that this is going to be a place we were before. There's no table in the middle. I mean, it's possible it is that place and the table is just gone. Who knows? It very suspiciously saved right there. I don't know if it just does that periodically. I know it does it at certain key points. Right around here, yes. Let's have a look at this. I just want to see. Some of these images, man. Actually, what am I doing? I should be taking screenshots. Here we are, all this time just to see you. You appear to still be out of order, even if you do have power. Part of me almost wants to return to that hall. Well, we've come this far. And let's see, an hour and 54 minutes. I mean, granted, I got way bogged down on the 3rd floor on the way back. I could have sworn I've been playing for like an hour, maybe. With getting stuck. Maybe it's the familiarity, maybe it's the relative comfort of the spaces, but that blew by for me. And we're not done. No way. No way. Hotel, you're associating the floors, the red curtains, with the red room. Look at this. What if this still isn't the real world? And a description to match. We have a choice to make. The same couch, the same symmetrical pair of lamps at every intersection, or sometimes just because. What is this place, and how do I get out of here? Okay, I had to check to see if I could walk through the curtains. This instills such an odd sense of panic in me. What if this isn't the real world indeed? And the music's so distant. Well, that's per usual. But what I'm really interested in is how it sounds like, I don't know, a lone trumpeter or a horn or something. Wait, imagine if Nexilist were here. That's the first time we've had text. It feels like even my character might have picked up the pace a little bit. Hi there. Hey guys, I found the room where you all chill out. Oh no, they trapped me. I'm now getting the impression that maybe this is where... that these are the people who came before me. That maybe Mr. Balloon was trying to warn me. It just abruptly ended. That is the first one that has ended that way. And it has me unbelievably curious for the next one, actually. That is surprisingly realistic static that's playing instead of music. As if my headphones were failing. Never mind. There we are. So that was the next chapter of Dreamcore, and you know, oddly enough, it seemed like it was flowing a lot more smoothly. It seemed like I was much less lost than I have been previously, simply by the nature of the design of the map. However, in the end there, it was doing something really crazy, and once more, I'm not sure if we're playing as the same character from any of the previous maps. But I'm very curious as to what's next, because we've always known what each subsequent map was going to be. Like, they've always been listed, but the next one has always just been a black rectangle. So there's always been a plan for this, and it seems like, for as disconnected as these have been, you know, they're meant to be able to be played on their own. Something more is going on here, and I wonder what that endgame actually is. And I like that it's continuing the trend of each map being different, not only in terms of like the visual theme and what type of liminal space is inspiring it, but by nature, each one plays differently, even if it is a walking simulator. I wasn't so sure at first about how kind of samey the rooms were, and how easily navigable it generally was. But I think as one chapter out of 5, it worked out in the end. And it was definitely a breath of fresh air coming off of the previous, which, you know, I hate saying that because it's not like the last one was a bad map, I just didn't like the way the progression worked. And it seems like the developers have listened to that. This game is dedicated to James Leyland Kirby. Let's have a look at what's coming next. Yep, it just says, coming soon, unlocks 2026. Well, I can't wait, because, you know, this game may seem incredibly simple, but it's a simple concept. It's unique in being one of the few that doesn't feel the need to overcomplicate it. Liminal Hotel definitely ended in an unprecedented way, and it very well could lead into the next one, especially since they've been so secretive about it. But I do enjoy that these are still very much separate experiences. Like, the beginnings and endings are ambiguous in a way where you could think of them all as one narrative, or you could take them entirely on their own. You could jump in at one at the start. I still remember that we didn't have to unlock from Dream Pools to Eternal Suburbia when we started. We could have started either way. And that's good. It's good that this really is just a toy box that you can load up and just decide you want to sleepwalk for a while. It's a walking simulator in the same way that Truck Sim is a truck sim or a flight sim is a flight sim. It's if you just want to wander and feel like you're dreaming and bask in that exploration and strange, unfamiliar familiarity, you can just pick the aesthetic that suits you and go for it. And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this game out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.